Kate, last week
Yes.
we reviewed a movie entitled Runaway, co-starring Gene Simmons, the most I would argue, and certainly I think I'd be right, the most famous member of the rock group Kiss.
Oh,
Gene Simmons,
incomparably, yeah.
yes, and so is it acting in it as like a regular? I mean, yeah, acting is debatable, but he was playing a human being. I think that's. I don't know how well he was playing one, but he was playing a human being.
Cast in the movie. We can
Yes.
definitely say that. Yes.
That is inarguable. And I said in the thing, I don't know, I'm assuming it's his acting debut. Now, what I meant was in a movie in which he doesn't play himself, right? But Chris Bourdin of Music and Moonsalts, very all credit to Chris Bourdin.
God bless you for this. God bless
you. Who tweeted at me and says, actually, Gene Simmons' acting debut was in the made-for-TV movie Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. And he editorializes, which has to be seen to be believed. And I don't know, we were kicking around a couple of different ideas to do things this week, and I said, everything else is canceled. We're doing this instead.
Yes, you did.
But I was actually joking because I was like, there's no way this is available. There's no way this is anywhere to stream. And it turns out it's not really. It is, let's say, with a questionable legality. It is uploaded to the service Vimeo, and you can watch the whole thing for free. And I would say to anybody who just wants to watch something completely bonkers for an hour and 24 minutes, you should go ahead and do that.
Boy, do we have the film for you.
So yeah, this movie's bonkers. I'm even Kiss is too old even for me. Okay, so like I was not cognizant during their run at the beginning. I know from many years later what a phenomenon they were in the 70s. Then they went into we took off the makeup phase in the 80s, which, you know, arguable choice. Maybe not the best choice. But then they got back together and toured again in the 90s, and that's, I think, when I got when it was like, what the hell is this? And I recognized, like, oh, so a bunch of songs that I know because they play on my dad's classic rock radio station were Kiss. I just didn't put two and two together. And I was like, oh, party, rock and roll all night and party every day. Like, that's a great song. I had no idea that was the Crazy Makeup Guys. I didn't know that was who that was. So I went into this having a basic knowledge of, you know, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, the four guys in the band. If you showed me a picture of the makeup, I would say that's Paul, that's Ace, that's Peter, that's Gene. I knew who each guy was, and I knew some of their songs, but I did not recognize what a phenomenon they were, nor how silly that phenomenon apparently was.
Kiss is an interesting one because their makeup stuff, those first few albums, the self-titled, Hotter Than Hell, Dressed to Kill, like basically up through Dynasty, I feel like people, because they're such a marketing phenomenon as much as a music phenomenon, which is kind of where this movie came into play, people think of them as like, that like corny 80s rock, but they had some like real good albums, like rooted in kind of this like fun twist on, there was like this 50s thing in their earlier stuff, and like great music. And then I am firmly, sorry to Chris Jericho, I know he appreciates both eras, I am firmly face paint and earlier Kiss, I would say. But a lot of their commercial success came after that, probably on the back of this movie. I would say this is probably what launched them for stardom.
Yeah,
and
no, absolutely.
It's so funny because this movie, like, to know that they had a manager that was like, Kiss the movie, man. Like, they made so much money in so many other ways. And this is so, like you said, it's bonkers. And I still can't tell. I can't tell you after having watched it and watched it. I watched an interview with Gene too. I don't know if there's a part of me that felt like in the movie they knew that they were creating a bonkers movie, and there's parts of it where it doesn't. But I could tell you in the interview I watched with them, they're very aware that it was not good. And they find it funny that fans like look back on it with it being a big deal. And they put it in their like Kiss anthology collection. Because he was like, now you can go back and watch it for what it is, which is bad. It was not grand or wonderful. And notably at the time, the band was not talking to each other. There were times where some of them would leave set in the middle of shooting and their stunt doubles would play their roles, which we'll get into in this movie and the important roles that their stunt doubles played. And none of they said we didn't know what acting was. We weren't really interested in a script, and the script that was there, they didn't really bother to memorize. So that's a good groundwork, I think, for what we get into, because when you watch it, you could have come to all of those conclusions without getting confirmation from the band, I would say. I think that's a fair call.
Yes. It is odd the way that they Kiss meets the Phantom, singular, of the park is such a weird Google Translate to Google Translate to Google Translate version of what this is. You know what I mean? Like, we translated it from Japanese to German, to Portuguese and to American, and you get Kiss meets the Phantom of the park. And that's Phantoms, maybe. Apparently, also, when it was released this was a made-for-TV movie for NBC, 1978. In the States, it was released in theaters in Europe as Attack of the Phantoms, which I guess is a little bit better, but it has nothing to do with Kiss in that particular title, which I feel like has to be a selling point.
Has to be the sole selling point. And what was so funny was I don't know how to adequately describe how it's been described to me, because we weren't around for the phenomenon that Kiss was, but like, the way they were disruptive into the mainstream was unprecedented, and it blows my mind that this movie looks like it was a home movie, considering like what a box office draw they could have and probably would have been. The lack of any, it looks like it was filmed on a home camera. Like, it is, It doesn't look good. The sound, I was like, you have mastering engineers that you worked with. The sound like goes so loud and quiet and whatever. Like, I was just like, you record albums. You could have had
a lot of that is the fact that it is a made-for-TV movie in the late 70s, and most of the budget went to cocaine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So,
as evidenced by the quote-unquote plot. We use it loosely.
RESPECT. Click the subscribe button and find out what it means to me. Nah, that doesn't have a ring to it. But if you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.